Well, what an interesting adventure yesterday. I went on a safari in western Tennessee, and I was bitten by an animal at a zoo. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Marlon Perkins, here to wrap up my land cruising series. Well, at least land cruising for this time through the areas of Tennessee and Kentucky with a whole lot of family visits. Yesterday was the last event on the schedule, and really it wasn't on the schedule. It's just something we planned impromptu. Me and my son Andrew decided to go to the Tennessee Safari Park in Alamo, Tennessee, about a 2-hour drive from where we were at in Murray, Kentucky. Now, this Tennessee Safari Park, let me just say on the front end, pretty spectacular. 7.5-mile drive-through safari where you can interact with animals, and then a 20-acre walk-through zoo with a petting area. So a lot to do in Alamo, Tennessee. They even convert this thing into a drive-in theater. They're showing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming up, an excellent movie. But honestly, you're not going to this place to see the movies. You're going to this place to see the animals. And I want to hit you in the face with some of the highlights of driving through this safari park. But before I get there, I do need to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's show. I'm going to kick it over to Tony from the past, Tony in Florida, to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor.
Today's episode is sponsored by Scentbird. Scentbird is your fragrance destination, a single place to discover, explore, learn about, and experience scents just for you. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try each and every month for just $17. With each fragrance, you get a 30-day supply so you can try it out before you make a commitment to a full-size bottle of cologne or perfume. And if you've done any shopping for cologne or perfume lately, you know that some of those bottles cost anywhere between $150 to up to $500, maybe even more. We're talking colognes and perfumes by some pretty high-end brands, Prada, Gucci, Versace, and also some very well-regarded indie labels, Skylar, Heretic, and Confessions of a Rebel. Speaking of Confessions of a Rebel, one of the fragrances I got this month is called Thirst Trap. Here's a look at the reusable dispenser that the fragrances come in. If we open it up, you'll see that the fragrance is inside in its own container. You've got the month's worth of fragrance. Again, this is Thirst Trap. And let me show you how it works. You move the fragrance from the locked to the unlocked position, and then you give it a spray. This is good. This Thirst Trap has overtones of lavender and ocean minerals, lime. I like it. It's almost kind of a nautical theme, pretty apropos. I also got this fragrance this month. It's called Atramental. Its inspiration comes from tattooing. One of the big reasons I continue to partner with Scentbird is because they offer a great option for people who are traveling, especially people who fly. You know that there are restrictions on the amount of liquids that you can carry with you on an airplane, and these Scentbird vials meet those requirements. As always, Scentbird has a great offer for the Loca fam. You can use the code LALIDOLOCA4 to get 55% off of your first month of Scentbird. There will be a link in the description below.
Thank you, Scentbird, for sponsoring today's episode. All right, here's the lay of the land. You roll up to the ticket area. You got options when you get there. It's $24 a person to get in, and then you can decide how much of the feed you want to buy. You can buy 1 bucket of feed for $3, or you can get 4 buckets of feed for $10. And when I was looking at the buckets, I thought, well, 4 buckets, obviously enough feed for the 7.5-mile trek through this safari. That's wrong. You need more buckets than that. Now, it's important to note that you're in your own vehicle, that you are going to be traveling on a gravel road for 7.5 miles. And the other important thing to note is all the signs that say, do this at your own risk, that animals could be dangerous and that things could happen. They tell you that on the front end, so it should not be any surprise. Now, for the uninitiated, this scene is wild. I've never seen anything like this before. You roll up, and then there's all kinds of animals that start coming up to your car. There's zebra and camels and ostrich and llama and deer and cows and later on giraffes. You see the giraffes off in the distance, but you don't necessarily know that you're going to be car close to the giraffes. But here's the spoiler. You are going to be car close to the giraffes, and you should plan accordingly. And let me say it again on the front end. This is very cool. I have no regrets doing this, even though I'll show you later where I was actually bitten by one of the animals. This was very cool. These encounters, feeding encounters, they go from very calm to very chaotic. And let me just show you some footage of it. I'll show you some very calm and then some very chaotic. And then we'll talk about some of the animal attitudes at this safari.
Yep. You want some more? All right, we're going up for the llamas. Get your last bite. There you go. He's like, nope, I'm hanging. I'm hanging like a hair in a biscuit with you. He's on the move. He's on the, okay, hold on. Hold on. We're going to get an ostrich up here, too. That's funny. Oh, you got the llama over there?
Let the llama have some. It's not throwing it everywhere. Dang.
Making a mess. The llama gave up. All right, we're going on. We're moving on. No. This one does not want to leave. He's like, I want to finish the bucket. Oh, we got llama. we got llama too. Oh, we got all kinds of stuff going on. Oh, Woo. The ostrich got aggressive. Oh, he got my finger. All right, we're all out. All out. Sorry, guys. All out. All out. Don't bite my arm. Well, look at this mess of me. We're going to have to clean this car a little bit.
All right, pretty interesting stuff. But here's a few takeaways. There's a lot of animals at the beginning of the safari, and you have a lot of feeding opportunities. And if you feed all of the animals at the beginning of the feeding opportunities, you will run out of feed quickly. We know this from experience. We only made it probably a mile or two, and then we were out of food. And guess what? The animals a few miles down the road, they realize that because they have a serious attitude. Particularly the last mile llamas. That's what I'm calling them, the last mile llamas. We got to a point in the journey where it seemed like nobody had any food left, and the llamas would come up and block the car. Then they would kind of figure out which side of the car to go on to see if they were going to get any food. And it happened a lot. These last mile llamas had an attitude. I almost felt like these llamas were intentionally checking the car to make sure that you didn't have any feed when it came time to get to the giraffes. They were like the feed border crossing llamas. They're like, do you have any food left? Do you plan to feed the giraffes? No, you're going to feed us. And so that's the other pro tip. Save some food for the giraffes. The giraffes, they really got right down into folks' car, but we just had to drive by them because we didn't have any feed left. I think George Orwell was onto something. I think these animals were operating at a higher plane, and the chutzpah of some of these animals, the balls on this cow, for example, is crazy. But my most exciting animal encounter happened pretty early on in the journey, and I think I was conspired against. When we were rolling up in that first mile, we were feeding animals on the left and the right side of the car, and I was thinking, well, we should save a little bit of this food until the end. And as I was having that thought, I saw to my left a couple zebras and a camel. And I'm like, I'm not feeding these zebras and this camel. They better just stay up on the ridge. We got to save our food until the end. Well, I think maybe camels maybe they're telepaths. Maybe they are mind readers, because this camel, almost at the same moment that I was thinking I'm not feeding this camel, he got a look in his eye and he came over to the window. Now I had the window down. This is another rookie mistake. If you don't want to feed the animals, put your window up. That seems obvious, but it wasn't obvious in the moment. And this camel came over and, I thought, okay, I'm going to just keep rolling by the camel. Well, no. Some zebras got us distracted on the other side. My son was feeding the zebras, and boom, this camel comes right into the window, full nose into the window. And I thought, oh, that's cute. He's just seeing if we have any food. And well, then this happened.
Oh, you got it.
Hello. Oh, ow! No! Ow! He's biting my arm. Holy moly. Come on. I had camel funk on my arm. Oh, look, he doesn't even want the food. He wanted to bite my arm. Look how sweaty my arm is. I've been attacked by a camel. Holy moly. Oh, now you want the food? There you go. Now, no, he still wants my arm. Stop it. Oh, my goodness. Ah. Alright, this camel we have to leave. I didn't know we were gonna need a napkin. Oh, that's gross. Oh, that's gross.
Now, to be fair, I don't feel like the camel was trying to hurt me. He did chomp down on my arm, and it put a lot of pressure on my arm. It was a little disconcerting. Like, you know, you see these big teeth kind of clamp down on your arm, but he did let go, and it did seem like he was going for the food on some level, but then he didn't even want the food that I offered him, and he started chomping my arm again. Let me say this about a camel encounter. It's a lot of spit. It's a lot of spit. There was slobber all over my arm. There was slobber on the inside of the car. It was interesting, and it was a little bit startling. You know, you kind of, I don't think you take into perspective what you're actually dealing with on some of these animal encounters. You're dealing with animals, right? That's sometimes it's easy to forget. But fortunately, at the end of the day, my skin wasn't broken. I wasn't hurt, and it was funny. We had a good story to tell when we got back to town, and it was a pretty good time. Tony from the edit here, and just to be fully transparent, I feel like maybe this could have been a radioactive camel, because I went like, I don't know, 6 hours without water last night, and I woke up this morning super excited about Wednesdays. So I think maybe I've got camel superpower, maybe. All right, back to the show. All in all, it took us about 90 minutes to get through the safari portion of the zoo. And then, like I said, they did have a 20-acre zoo with a petting area. We briefly went in there. We looked for some lemurs. It was kind of hard to see some of the animals. We did see some of these cool birds. They had a Bigfoot statue, which was cool. Overall, for $24 each and then $10 for the feed, I thought it was a really good value for the money, and I've never seen this many animals that up close. It was really neat. Have you ever had an up-close animal encounter? Have you ever been to the Tennessee Safari Park in Alamo, Tennessee? Have you ever been bitten? Bitten by a camel? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. This is Tony for La Lita Loca. Another thanks to Scentbird for sponsoring today's show, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.